Welcome to this movie review for Other Joe's debut feature film.
Thank you.
Monster Hunter. Okay, the jig's up. It is not Other Joe, but he looks damn close to him, so we just imagine him as Other Joe. It's Tony Jaa. We love him.
He's great.
Martial arts star. Guys, welcome to Movie Reviews. Always good to do these. So we got a little early access to a little sneak peek to the film. Thank you to Sony for screening it for us.
They don't normally screen his films.
Yeah.
Because they're usually
Which one?
Paul Anderson's.
Well, oh, yes.
Because he makes the movies that
WS, is it Paul Anderson, the husband of Mila Jovovich, and she is, they're a team. And they were a team all throughout the Resident Evil films, which everybody knows I love.
Amazing.
Zombies.
And Mila seems to be the ally and the friend of all gamers everywhere, making many video game based movie adaptations. And she's back with the duo's latest take on a video game, and this time Monster Hunter. Now, Monster Hunter, I know Dell has played a lot of Monster Hunter, but us three here, we are Monster Hunter rookies. We have no idea, unless you.
I played a little bit.
Okay, he's played a little bit. But, mostly we have no idea all of the Monster Hunter lore. But let's just, let's get into the film and what we thought. So we'll start with no spoilers, and then we'll have a spoiler section. We'll have a break in between, so if you just want to watch this part and see what the rating is and whether you should see it, then just stick to this part. So I'm going to start right off the bat. Basically, what Monster Hunter, what did Angry Joe think of? Everybody was making fun of this thing before it came out, right? And it made Joe cry tears. It looked bad, says some people. And honestly, the marketing, I think, did a poor job.
Yes.
Because, frankly, I liked it. I thought that this was Mortal Kombat, basically, for the Monster Hunter world. And what I mean by that is the hokey, loosely based on Mortal Kombat, kind of getting some of the characters right, but not really some of the allegiances and the powers and things like that. But there was enough there in Mortal Kombat to make it a good video game adaptation film. And I think Monster Hunter delivers where it needed to deliver. Now, I don't think it's as good as Mortal Kombat. I actually think that video game film is much better just because of the characters, the performances in that film, by Shang Tsung and Christopher Lambert. And for the most part, the performances here by Mila and Tony Jaa are well enough, as well as a surprise appearance from Ron Perlman, who, of course, is chewing up the scenery and looks completely ridiculous.
Yes.
Looks like a living lion.
Yeah.
Lion, big old lion mane, Dragon Ball Z looking character.
I don't know what it was, but it was ridiculous.
But I just, listen, what do I want from Monster Hunter film, right? I want big Monster Hunter fights. I want crafting. I want using previous monsters in new weapons to kill new monsters. I want creature effects, and I got all of that. And I want action. I don't want Godzilla situation with Gareth, hiding the monsters and closing the doors and, get to see the monsters fight and there's barely any action. This film does not shy away from the action. It delivers in the action. It delivers in those things that I wanted. And honestly, it does it with an amount of creature effect skill that I did not expect. We get a little bit of aliens in this film. We get a little bit of horror creature effects, and I didn't expect that, and I liked that little segment. So, overall, I think this film, now this is not going to win any Academy Awards, okay?
What? How dare you?
This is a
Best
dumb
actor?
Tony Jaa, best actor. It's a dumb action film, dumb, loud, and that's kind of what I wanted. What did you guys think?
I loved it.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm serious.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Okay.
thought I was gonna be the only. I was
No,
about
no.
to
I
be
think
like,
I'm the
let me
odd
get
man
ready to
out.
fucking
So
fight.
what I wanted from this movie, if you're like, what is going to make Monster Hunter good, right? I don't want any story
Oh, no,
because
my
they'll
armor.
screw it up, right? Because if
Yes.
any story in this movie would have messed it up, there is no story in this movie. Any
There is
dialogue,
no story.
any dialogue in this movie would have messed up
messed
this
it up.
movie. There's no dialogue in this movie. And then we got all the things that you said that I wanted the same thing too. We got monster fights, and it was monster fights, and there was weird things. And look, he borrowed from every famous movie ever. There was aliens in there. There was Star Wars in here. There were, though for sure, with the feeding of the food. Like he borrowed from every cool
There's a
scene
lot
from
of
like
tropes,
Yeah,
yes.
tons and tons and tons of it.
Tropes. Yeah.
But look, this movie's bad, but I loved it. Like
good.
there can be
It's
there
not
can,
bad. It's good.
there can be like
okay.
technically bad movies that you still kind of enjoy.
Yeah.
This is far closer to Mortal Kombat 1 than it is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Right?
Ah, that movie
Yeah.
does not exist.
Well, so it's like it's
I kept worrying about the creature effects, like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
It's the creature effects in here much better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But you know what? Your mom could create better CGI than Mortal Kombat Annihilation
For sure.
at this point.
the prop guy bought a the thing that makes a car tumble, and they use that effect over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah, they
because it's the
love
only
tumbling
thing that
cars.
they just
In
like,
this film.
in this one, and it's a fine actiony but fun movie.
Joe?
I guess I didn't love it as much as you guys
the
did. I thought it was
lone
okay.
man out this
yeah,
time.
I am because this one I thought it was okay. Hollywood did what I expected to, and they kind of fucked it up because I didn't really want the whole military thing aspect of it. But I did really enjoy the animation of these monsters. They did a great job with them, seeing a little bit of variety of it. I was hoping to see more, like the third act. I was in love with. I was like, I want to show me more of this. But it kind of just pulls me out.
Yes.
I was like, no,
right.
this is
Kinda
not what I
cuts off
want.
right
Hollywood,
there.
stop ruining
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
That's
Joe-
what I felt. Like, take the third act, expand on that one. Would've
Start
been
that as
way
your first
better.
act.
Yes, that would've been
I
way
got you.
better.
Joe. Got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a much better film than Joe's talking about. But I'll contend with you here. I think that so initially the marketing is like American soldiers, this and that. But honestly, I'm so happy, T.I. and some of these unknowns and these like beautiful soldiers and all model-esque. They all I stopped
They're
myself.
not in the movie for very long.
They are not in the film very long,
Which I was like,
basically.
good.
And so that's what I'm saying, Joe. They only had the soldiers there to have the action, to have the machine guns. And in that aspect, I do want to see something new in the Monster Hunter universe where you have modern technology try to take on the monsters. To show you how powerful, how armored these things are, that you really need sort of the mystical weapons that are completely never, ever explained in the film.
No.
They're just there. You just have to accept them. There's just big-ass fucking
If
weapons.
you
can
explain
barely lift.
anything, it ruins
Right.
the movie.
It does.
No
And I'm
dialogue.
glad that they didn't.
Yeah.
And the reason why they had the soldiers there were for the action scenes, and then they moved on.
Yeah.
And they went to basically Tony Jaa and Mila Jovovich, and I always get her name that long, but I just loved it. They focused where they needed to focus. And it was just a story. There was a language barrier between these two.
So they didn't talk.
There were funny moments. There were badass moments. Now I will give you this: they make Mila RoboCop. She literally she has she's been concussed so many times and has taken so much broken bone damage. There's no way she's basically just a pile of jelly by the end of the film.
Sure.
But it's movie magic where I think she's still Alice. I think she still retains her Resident Evil powers because she would need to be at that power
Oh yeah,
level.
she got thrown into
do what she needs
into
to
a
do.
plane. She dented the plane. She was fine.
Yeah, exactly.
She also fought Tony Jaa for 10 straight minutes, and they beat the crap
I
out
loved
of each other.
it. It kind of reminded me when they were fighting each other. It reminded me a little bit of They Live, where they kind of like extend the fight scene out a little longer. I wanted them to do that. They didn't do it. They kind of cut it a little short. Tony, they fight and it comes to a resolution. But okay, so more stuff in the non-spoiler section. Joe, what about the monsters? I am a Monster Hunter fan. and an aficionado, what monsters did they have in there? Well,
Spoilers, we can't tell them, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can give them general ideas. 5, 6, about 7. I'd say about 7, 8 monster designs that are clearly seen, and then if you're looking for, there's probably about 3 good ones in there that have some massive fights. And does that pay off? It does. They combine CGI, obviously, when you have massive fucking monsters like that, with some practical effects.
They couldn't get the dragon?
Yeah, they couldn't get the dragon.
Damn it.
But I'm talking about movie magic where, practical effects are combined with a CGI in a meaningful way where it's not all like just brightly colored garbage, right? This one, they had some believability to it. All the shots looked quite well. The film looked quite expensive. Some of the things that they did in it, we've seen in Tom Cruise films where planes are like falling out of the air and they spent, 100, 200, 300 million on that kind of stuff. And this one had a smaller budget than that, looked just as good. So I was quite impressed by some of the action set pieces and some of the CGI in the film. And ultimately, it was what I wanted. Alex is right. Anybody that's not Tony and Mila, they're just there to provide more conflict for the monsters.
It's
and
like, why are we here? It's like, I don't know.
to provide more things.
Bring more Jew toys.
Yeah.
They introduce, some Monster Hunter World characters. You've got some characters from the Monster. Now, I don't know if any of these kind of mention their name. I would say no.
No names,
because
no
it's
dialogue.
more character creator. In the Monster Hunter world, just everybody is their own person, right? And so it's basically the story is of this world, this Monster Hunter world, clashing with our world via a sort of gate, and the implications of that, and how does Mila make it home, and how does this world correspond to our world, and how does that play out? And by the end of the film, it ends like Mortal Kombat. It kind of ends right before it gets really good. You're like, oh, I want to see that. Like, Shao Kahn shows up. It's like, you weak, pathetic fools. I've come for your souls. And Christopher Lambert's like, I don't think so, right? And you're like, yeah, let's go. And they just said, nah.
Yeah.
As a teenager, you're like, yeah, let's go. Now you're like,
Right.
I've seen the second one. I don't want to go in.
Yeah, I don't go there.
That's what. But you remember when when it was first happening, you're like, wait, they're doing this, and then it cuts it off. So you're like, and that's kind of a little bit what happened here. Everybody is kind of well skilled and well versed. There's plenty of montages throughout the film of training and stuff, and Mila transforming into a monster hunter to join these other monster hunters, and it was all right. And at the end, there's a big dumb fight, and then there's another, and then there's a post credit big dumb fight, and yeah. So great, and there was kitties. There was a kitties. So these characters from this Monster Hunter world have like, are those airships?
Mm-mm.
No, they're sand ships.
Mm-hmm.
They ride on the sand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of
cool. I liked
pirates,
it.
And I like the fact that Tony Jaa is not like this, good character through and through, like he's some kind of paladin. No, they're kind of fucking jerks. They're kind of pirates, and so they have a little bit of a mean streak to them. It gives a little more character depth to their interactions. Then they're not just gonna, do that. And we do get to see the cook on the ship is one of the cats, and so I appreciated that.
That's a nice touch.
Had some little scenes there. And but we don't ever really get the super payoff there. They're kind of teasing that for the sequel, and maybe the cats can get involved. But yeah, I kind of see what Joe is saying. It's like if we removed all of the military stuff, like our world, their world stuff, and just started in their world, right? Then we could have got to the shit sooner. It probably would have doubled the budget, right?
Yeah.
That was the issue. It probably would have doubled the budget, but it would have been
a better movie.
That 9-10 territory, right? That big territory. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to final verdict so that we can talk some of the details in the spoiler section.
Ahead.
I don't know how to rate this. Are we on the OJ scale or like the normal movie scale?
We're on the normal movie scale.
Normal.
Oh, man. Like, I have no idea. Because you recognize that the movie's kind of bad.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I like it.
No, yeah, it's okay. You can give it an asterisk. You just say I know it's stupid, but I like it. Here's the
Tell you what, I'm going to give this one a 7. And it is definitely above average. It is good, not great, because it's just missing all of the things that, in my opinion, make a movie go from good to great. Like dialogue. and story and characters that have names, and we only get one of them. There's only one character with a name in this whole thing, other than like throwaway ones. So, but it's really fun. If you are looking for a stupid video game movie, this is a great time. And again, like if you're like, look, as long as this is my line was, this needs to be better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and it clearly was. So I'm gonna go with a 7, but a pretty good 7.
Yeah. I'm thinking a 7 as well. For me, there were moments where I thought I could make an 8, and I think if you would have paid off that kind of ending tease there and gave us a little bit more of the ending tease, then you could have achieved an 8 for me. But they sequel bait real hard, kind of cut it at the end, sort of like a Mortal Kombat situation, and like Joe, part of me is like, God damn, I wish they didn't go with the military angle, wasting our kind of time in that sense, because ultimately those characters are irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I do like them there because I want to see that juxtaposition between, the modern tech and then this shit is useless. You have to use this shit, and you have to use your mind, and you have to use the training, and they don't explain how Mila becomes a superhero, but it doesn't matter because it's fucking dumb.
When your husband is the director and writer, you get to be a superhero.
Yeah, you get to be the
50-year-old
ranger superhero fighting monsters. And, at times I will say, a small little human going up against a big fucking, towering thing and actually causing damage looks kind of weird and dumb. But it looks that way in the game too. It's a simulation of the game. And so I think, in my personal opinion, with the amount I've played Monster Hunter, I don't think it shits on Monster Hunter. I don't think it denigrates Monster Hunter. I don't think it brings down Monster Hunter. I think that it kind of does a small, token job at bringing it to the big screen. And it's just confusing why they felt they needed to tell this story, and then at the end they're like, here's the real story. So why did you start with that?
Yeah, I want that one.
Why want that one? So I see what Joe said. 7 out of 10. Joe, go.
I'm surprised, actually. I thought you were gonna get it a little bit higher, but I'm gonna.
I was thinking about 8.
I'm gonna go with the 6. Like I said, it's like a little bit above average because I do like the world they kind of build and the different kinds of monsters they had. They had great animators for that, which I loved. But like the beginning and the ending were the best parts. Middle I didn't really like because it had the whole military background stuff. But if they would have ramped up like the end using the powers and stuff like that, kind of make it cheesy. I know it would have gone over budget, but that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah,
more of that stuff. But 6 overall.
But here's the thing: is like, are we doing it a disservice by rating what the sequel could be? And versus what this film is, and I think the film, what the story they wanted to tell, they executed it really well, and I'm really considering an 8. I'm kind of very surprised that that the film turned out all right with as much crap as it was given. I am very, very curious how a Monster Hunter mega fan would feel about the film, and sort of compare. So if you're that, and if you've seen the film, leave your comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And do I want to make it an 8? I don't know. Talk to me in the spoiler section, all right?
It might go up. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. So if for those of you who don't want it spoiled, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Stick around for spoilers.
Bye, guys.
Recording. Okay, let's talk first real quick, because we recorded this afterwards, about the big controversy that happened with Joe's movie. Monster Hunter made a joke.
It cost them millions.
It cost a million. Can you explain the joke?
Yeah, a driver is looking back to his Asian American, squad mate and says, "Hey, what kind of knees are you?" And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, what kind of knees are you?"
That is a terrible joke.
He got the movie banned in China.
And that completely banned the film. So we want to talk about that right away. It's not in the film, at least not the screener that we saw.
They kinda
And
get it
honestly, it would. It's not. I can't believe they got so offended that Monster Hunter will not screen or will not be shown in China. A lot of theaters got so offended they pull it. A lot of it's just a negative. A thing in China. If it spreads via social media, they have their own kind of cancel culture going on, and the film has been completely canceled. And it sucks because, as you saw in our review, we like it. We kind of like it. And it makes me feel bad that this co-Chinese production, because it has Chinese money in it,
Yeah,
at
Tencent.
Tencent, and now it's not going to do as well as it could have done because of one
Simple
joke is so
Japanese
offensive that the whole
or
fucking film is.
Vietnamese,
You
one
have
of
no. Let me just say, it's great to live in the United States because there are so many films that are so offensive to so many people, and I'm kind of. It just sucks so bad that this film is going to do worse because of that. Because honestly, from that third act, you want to see more, and you
Yes.
actually kind of do want to see a sequel.
The reason they took it down is there's an old rhyme, the offensive rhyme that is Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these, and it's offensive. And they're like,
Okay.
that's why they said that the
Okay.
knees can't be allowed. And as of right now, theater exhibitors just got new notifications that the plan of releasing new copies with removing the scenes has been suspended, which means it's not
It's
getting
gone.
released.
It's gone for good. So I don't think – I think this was cultural wires getting crossed, and whoever made that joke, I don't think they intentionally put that in there knowing that Japanese-Chinese joke about the dirty knees. I think that it was just a dumb pun, a dumb play on words, and the Chinese government, the Chinese people, and they took it way, way, way too far, and or even hurting their own Tencent-owned Chinese company by refusing to support it. And so that film probably is now guaranteed to bomb, and it sucks because I kind of wanted to see a sequel.
Yeah.
So anyway, just an amendum here. Let us return to our regularly scheduled review, or spoiler section. Enjoy. Welcome to the spoiler section. So,
How do you spoil a movie that doesn't have a story?
exactly. Well, I was just going to talk about all
I
of the
know,
different
I know.
sort of monsters that they had. So, the whole squad basically gets killed right away. They get killed by spiders. I know these creatures probably have a particular name in the Monster Hunter universe, but I
They
didn't
look
quite
creepy
catch
as
it.
fuck.
They were creepy. They did in Aliens. They would knock you out, poison you, not kill you, save you for a little.
This is where we got
snack
the Lord
later.
of the Rings stuff.
Yes. And the sacks that they hold you in, it's just gel. It's like, ooh, it was so nasty and disgusting, and you could see the little babies in the pods, and ooh,
There's actually some blood in this movie too. Which
This
I'm
was
surprised.
so much darker than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Kind of set the tone. It was like I didn't expect this at all.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that the lights were off. I mean this was scary, and there was some gross stuff. The way that Ti died was like
Yes.
that's going to trigger people. People are going to
Oh,
leave the
God,
theater if
no.
they see the
It's like,
theater.
oh, I feel
So-
something on me.
What he's talking about, and since we're in the spoiler section, you'd think that like these little butts are hitting people and stuff. It's like, is that just poison? It's a little more than that because they're putting babies in your body.
injecting you with
They're
spider
fucking
eggs.
injecting you with spiders, and he reveals his body, and he's got all these freaking boils and
Pustules.
pustules and
Bursting
and
little.
They fucking zoom in
spiders.
on that shit, and then it bursts, and little fucking things come out, and it's like,
Start eating them, and it's
and he's like, run out of here, run! I'm like, yes. You don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to fucking
No,
tell
no,
me.
I'm getting out of here.
As soon
That's
as I saw
terrifying.
that shirt, I would have been
I'm
gone.
done.
Fuck it.
So that shit was good. Oh, man. I forgot about how good that shit was. 8 out of 10.
All right.
I got pushed up to 8 out of 10 in the thing. And just because, like, I'm like, man, I don't want to fucking know your name. You know what I mean? You're driving
you
all
don't.
these military
We
people.
don't
Like,
know
I don't
any
want
of
to
their
know your
name.
name. I don't want to do a film where you're like, oh, well, I'm the smart one. And I'm the in hour one. And, oh, I figured out. No. Run.
Yeah,
Everyone
Bunter
is dead.
Everyone is
and
fucking
Ranger.
dead.
That's it.
So I was happy with that. So,
Yeah, so I mean, like in the beginning, you were talking about the military. They're kind of setting up the story, but for me, I didn't mind the military because it ended up being a bait and switch.
Yeah.
I thought when I was seeing the previews of this movie that it was going to be tanks and planes against a dragon and people in Humvees, and they start off that way, and then they're like, guess what? All of these people are dead. Machine guns don't do anything. And then now we get into like weird magic swords with fire and stuff. And so I didn't mind the military stuff so much because they were useless. Yeah. They were bodies. They were things to lay eggs inside of and light on fire and turn into a red mist.
Yeah.
And,
and show how their weapons are useless.
Yeah, if they would have contained it to just that first half, but then they did it again in the third act. I was like, no, you pulled me away. I wanted to see that cool fight.
No, I
didn't
completely disagree with you, Joe. So then that's another reason why I think it goes to 8 for me, because Joe's talking about a moment in the film where as she kind of learns how to fight and the story propels forward.
Montage.
Ron Perlman shows up and saves them, and they go in the ship, and they're like, well, here's what we think is going on. This tower that has been built by an advanced civilization a long time ago is creating a portal between our worlds, and we need to make sure that we shut it down or we protect it or we figure out what's going on with it. And so they go over there and they have to fight, a Rathalos, with the flames. And as she's fighting it and they're fighting it, she falls off a cliff. But the storm comes, and the storm is that allows them to go between the worlds, and she falls in. She falls back into the real world, and the military's there to pick her up. Apparently, they've been searching for the whole time. And this gives us an action sequence, again, where you've got a Rathalos versus 3 Ospreys, like 4 tanks, some Humvees, and some buggies. And I was like, fuck yes, because they're, like, firing all their, weapons at it, and you're seeing just the pure action, and then the fucking Rathalos getting pissed, as these Ospreys come from both directions, and he comes up behind both and, like, knocks one into the other one. I was like, this is the kind of shit that I've always wanted to see in the big monster films. So you take that out of the film, I'm like, well, fuck, I liked that. I like that aspect. So, I don't know. The only thing is, like, I'm just happy because I thought it was well executed in that. I thought it was going to be much worse.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be lower budget, way fewer fights, lots of talking with all these military characters. I don't give a fuck about them, but all that time was filled with action.
Mm-hmm. No talky bits, no story.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, the story kind of progresses where she gets thrown into the monster world. She meets Tony Jaa. There's some conflict there. They don't know if who's good, who's bad. So they fight a lot. And then they come to terms. They agree to.
Yeah, they captures her, and then
the
they fight, and then she gets free. And
she
they
saves
fight again,
him, and then
he saves her,
and then she gives him chocolate, like very much the Star Wars.
He loves the chocolate.
Yeah,
chocolate.
And then Tony Jaa actually gets a Rain of Fire scene too, where he's jumping off in the big. Like this movie borrows from every action and adventure movie.
Yeah.
And it just, like I said, it's just like they kind of move. They go from like, oh, we're at this monster, and now we have to move to this monster, and now we have to move to this
video
monster.
Game.
It is a video game, but there's no story for me to pick at.
There's no story in the video game.
Yeah, there's no. But there's
great.
There's
it's
not.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunt monsters.
Shut up.
Movie done.
No, I like I'm saying.
Monsters.
This is what I
Okay,
like
so here's
about
the
it.
monsters. You got spiders. You got Apsaros. I'm gonna butcher all these names for you guys. There was like a water creature. They said the name of the little water creature because Tony was like eating grass to show her that they eat grass and they don't have to worry. And then she's like water, and then he uses her as bait again. There's a water creature there. Then there's the Rathalos, and then I think there was a few other creatures in the herd that was stampeding because the Rathalos was overhead, like blowing fire and stuff. And then of course the one that was the Absteros, the one that burrows under the sand and kills people like that. So yeah, great, awesome. I want to change my rating to 8 out of 10. So if you saw the rating 7, it's 10. It's 8.
You're good.
It's an 8 now.
To 8
it was always 8.
I really liked it. Here's another thing that I failed to mention in the review. I mean, we literally do these reviews like 5 seconds after we watch the film, so it kind of marinates in your brain a little bit. The synthwave soundtrack. I don't think the soundtrack of this film fit the film. I would have preferred like more of a fantasy kind of soundtrack or something, maybe a little closer to the game.
It's caveman.
It was synthwave. I'm like, really? What? It just doesn't make sense to me. Did the soundtrack stand out to you guys?
It didn't bother me.
It didn't bother
you.
Like whatever.
It wasn't. It wasn't
good.
Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, it's just like this is gonna be one of those movies. All right, let's just have fun with this.
I love the costumes of everybody. It looks they look appropriate to the Monster Hunter world. The soldiers never question her when they see her again why she's in medieval armor and shit.
They did say, "Hey, what is she wearing?" They did say
did
that they mentioned it once.
I missed
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay, well that's cool actually. So the implications for the future. So what happens at the end, basically? One of you guys?
So she falls off the cliff as the Rathalos is chasing her. The Rathalos obviously follows her through, and they are able to defeat it. Now, it turns out that it wasn't just her that was able to. Tony Jaa and Ron Perlman ended up following her through the portal to make sure that a monster from their world didn't kill everyone over there, because they were also worried about our world coming over to theirs, and so kind of fit. And then they ran back into the portal because they saw that there was more monsters.
another one.
More monsters. And so they ran over, and they are going to fight another. This was different. Was it also a Rathalos?
Oh, there
kinda
was
looked
actually
like it.
another monster. No, it might have been a variation on the rest.
It looked something. Its face looked
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry, guys, that we're not Monster Hunter
I have no
creature
idea that is.
encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So they ran over to fight that thing, and then they all are like charging it and diving towards it, and then credits.
They
They do
activate
the
the
martial arts
powers.
launch into the air, and their swords go fire. That's another thing.
I
So the
wanna see
weapons were
that.
pretty cool. They got a grappling hook weapon. They had the big swords. They had the little swords. They had the two swords, those, Joe. And then when you put them in an X, they go on fire. And Ron Perlman's constantly would emit fire. And I was like, yes, this is cool, because the weapons in the game have those powers and stuff. They never explain and never talk about where the source of power is. It doesn't fucking matter.
Good.
What matters is in this world,
There's
this
a
is what
badass
happens.
battle
All
or
right.
something.
The cats make the food. They leave hairballs in your fucking drinks. Because the cook, Ron Perlman's the captain, and the little cat's the cook, and then at the end we get a little bit of a stinger. So they go to attack the new monster that's coming out, and the stinger is as they're fighting this new monster. And making sure it doesn't come into the real world or our world, the camera zooms up the tower, and it's a cloaked figure. So there's literally a humanoid or a human being or something, not just a monster. So maybe they're trying to do a little story, and I'm sure somebody in the comments can tell us who this is. But as people who are casual Monster Hunter players or no Monster Hunter players have no idea who this hooded figure is. Does he control? Is he even in the video game? Because he might be a movie thing where it's like this tower is being controlled by this guy, this Sauron. See, they're taking everything from everything, and he's sort of like in control of the tower, and maybe in the sequel they'll need to fight him, right? And then they zoom out, and so they're fighting the monster again, and then the cat shows up, and the cat has his own weapon, and meow, and
Show me a little bit of that. Come
and
on.
there's no roaring. There's roaring for the monsters the whole time. So I was expecting like a lion roar at the end or something. No, it's just, meow. He tries to do a meow, but he's a cat. And Ron Perlman's character is like, what? You don't have cats in your world? It's like,
Fucking
yeah,
Ron.
but
Not
they
like
don't. They don't cook, and they don't have like golden earrings and gin.
Yeah.
Look at
I
pirates.
wish pirate cats would be pretty sweet. So, guys, it's just a feel good. I fucking thought it was fun and dumb, and I actually hope that it does well enough to get a sequel. But if this thing is coming out in the theaters and this thing is coming out in the middle of kind of it's not the middle of the pandemic, kind of, it feels like it's falling off, but I'm not sure audiences are kind of ready yet to like go back and
they
support
are.
these films. So I'm just worried that the film is going to completely bomb and they'll never do another one.
This is
And-
better than all of the Resident Evil films.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they'll
first
ever.
one?
Yes.
The first one, yeah. Yeah, it gives you more payoff than the first Resident Evil film. And that one was nowhere near the games. And then they tried to get more like the games, but then they just went
I
too
don't know
dumb.
where they went.
Yeah, they were going crazy.
They went
with that.
wrong.
And
That's
then
what
the
they did.
very last one, like I couldn't see shit. It was
Forget
so
about
dark.
it. Forget about it.
But yeah, I can't believe it. Mila's still an action star, still looking really great, and she's got her own little niche with her husband giving her roles all the time, and I don't care. I like the little duo. If they make them as good as this, it's good dumb. as dumb as this, dumb fun as this, then I'm okay with it. So
It's dumb without taking itself too seriously.
So would I recommend that you go out and see it? Yes, I would like you to see it. I would like you to support it, so that way you can tell me what you thought of the film. If you're a Monster Hunter fan, whether it kind of fits that. And I think there's enough action and there's enough references to the games and stuff that it's worth your money. Yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to get it on, VOD or for people that don't want that, or maybe it'll have better DVD sales or Blu-ray sales. When it comes around on that, definitely take a look at it. And whether it gets a sequel or not, I don't know. And it may actually end up being a good thing, because let's say that it gets greenlit for a sequel, but they're like, but we're not going to give you as much money as the first time. We don't want it to turn into a Mortal Kombat Annihilation situation, because it's like, okay, we get even less money to try to do even something bigger, and that would be the same situation here, right? It's almost like a fun little teaser film, and then they go right into the battle, and then you turn off the TV and you go play the video game. That's
probably
you're
where
done.
it should go.
That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
I don't want them to get ambitious and be like, now we do one with talkie bits. It's like, please don't start
Got this
talking.
amazing script. It's like, no script. Just
Who knows? Maybe.
go kill
No,
monsters.
not with this team. Not with not with this director and writer. But all right, guys. So that's it. We actually had fun with Monster Hunter, and we recommend that you see it and prove us wrong and tell us why we are idiots. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
Bye, guys.